Hi, thank you for joining me for today's process video and Happy New Year. I haven't said that before. The previous video that went up I'd recorded before the new year, but this is a fresh new layout recorded in 2025 and it's of our wonderful trip to New York again between Christmas and New Year. Well, we went over New Year, and it's of James and Amelia in the Lego store. We went there on New Year's Eve, just before heading back to our hotel, and James treated himself to a few bits. They've sort of rediscovered Lego this Christmas holiday, and he enjoyed buying himself some little kits. So you can see here I'm just creating a mixed media background using 4 inks. I've got Fossilized Amber, Picked Raspberry, Blueprint Sketch and Pine Needles, and these all go really nicely with the colours of Lego and also with the colours in my photos. So first of all, I just swiped them across the page, starting with the centre 2, because I lined my cardstock up on my grid mat that you can see in the background. It's a Tim Holtz glass mat, and so that I could get those central, and then adding the other 2 strips afterwards. And then I'm watering some of the same inks down and splattering them tone on those strips. So I'm just going to leave those to dry, and then I can start working on the photos. So the photos are 2 photos printed in 3x4, so I printed them using the Project Life app and printed them together on a 4x6. I just use a home printer. It's an HP PhotoSmart printer, and I subscribe to their monthly ink, which I find absolutely brilliant, because you can actually, you just subscribe and you choose how many prints per month you want to do, and they can roll over as well. But you can print A4 if you want to get the most out of your money. I just do 4x6 because I can't be bothered faffing with A4 photo paper, but that's an option, and then you will get loads for your money. So anyway, I'm using 49 Market Spectrum Gardenia that I thought would work really nicely with these colours, and I'm starting out with that 6x8 paper from the 6x8 paper pad, and I just saw that circular element and I thought that would be really nice to add as a layering element, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to layer loads of bits and pieces up behind these photos. So that green piece I've just used, you can see the Hey Little Magpie scallop die to cut that. That's going to sit down the left hand side of the photos, and now I'm just distressing the edges of that circle before I carry on. I will pull out some more bits and pieces. I don't have a huge amount of this collection left, but I do have a lot of 6x8 papers for whatever reason. I think I don't tend to grab for those as much as the 12x12s, but there are definitely a lot of those left, but they're brilliant for layering and matting behind the photos. So here's another scrap. I love that black and white diagonal stripe that's on the side of that, and then this is another 12x12 piece, just a scrap that's left over. So I'm just cutting a piece, I think that was about 2.5 inches wide, and adding that as a layer. And then this lovely pink, again it's just a scrap that was in the bag, so adding that behind as a layer. And then I find a tiny little blue scrap that I also add to the right hand side. So this is using another Hey Little Magpie die, the Viewmaster Reel, the larger one of the 2, and I'm tucking that on the left. I just cut black cardstock from with that, and the same with the film strip die, again black cardstock. I find that black makes the colours really pop when you're using brighter colours, so more often than not you'll find me die cutting using scrap black cardstock. So now I'm going through the bits and pieces that I have left from this collection. I find a little frame, which I want to try and pull the line of sight out to the left at the bottom there. So I'm just finding little bits and pieces that will draw your eye to the left of the page. I'm thinking about using these purple tickets. I find this lovely One Fine Day piece. I pull that to one side, but I do actually pull that back out, and it does come onto the layout at the end. And then that lovely orange ticket. Now, this piece would have been perfect, this notebook paper piece, bar for the fact that it's pink with on pink, and it just sort of blends into that strip that I'd added at the bottom. So instead, I find this tag that says amazing, and I think that's going to work much nicer. It's a lighter pink than the pink stripe on the page, so I like that. And then I also find this tag here. Now that tag with the stripes goes back and forth between the whole being under the amazing strip and to the left, as you can see it now, but it does end up the way that it's showing at the moment. So I've decided it's time to start gluing everything down, and I was wondering how to do that without losing where everything was. I think things do go down ever so slightly differently in the end, but I try and remember what I'm doing. So just adding the mats behind the photo first before getting those photos stuck down. And I want to make sure that that lovely green scallop is to the left of the photos as well. So I'm going to get those photos down now that I've got the other bits in place, and then I can add the blue cardstock afterwards and that film strip frame. So at the moment I'm struggling with that film strip frame because it looks ever so bold and very tall against the other piece elements that I've got on the page, and you'll see how I resolve that in due course. I do actually bring in another film strip piece and that just finishes it off nicely. It takes away from the fact that that's so vertical and bold, but you'll see what I mean shortly. So I just wanted to add a tiny bit of distressing around the edges of that blue piece, so I'm just using my fingernails to do that. And there's that other tiny scrap that I mentioned that I'm just going to add to the right there. So that goes down, and then I need to add this film strip at the bottom, so I'm just going to check that I don't bring it too far down the page because I don't want this to be a full 12 inches. And then I spot this matting piece in my ephemera bits and pieces, and although it's floral, it just brings a little bit of that pinky red to the bottom of the page along with some greens, so I like that for another layering piece. And there's that film strip. Now you'll see me struggle with this. I think I might want to put it on a slight angle. It doesn't work so I do move it back, but you can see there I'm just starting to move it around. So I want to make sure that I've got the colours that I want from this colour wheel in place, so just manoeuvring that around a little bit and then bringing these pieces back in. Can't remember where that tag was, so I'm just struggling with that a little bit, and you can see I've almost completely covered up that Viewmaster reel, so we'll resolve that in due course. So this is where I turn that tag around, and I really like the way that looks, but for whatever reason when I stick it back down on the page later on it goes back the other way. So just moving everything off so that I can get all this stuck down. So I'm going to stick that circle straight to the page, and then I can add the photo mat afterwards. So just adding plenty of glue to get that stuck down. And you can see at the moment my film strip is on an angle, and I'm going to use my T-square to check that the photos are straight on the page, and then I'll use that again to get that film strip on an angle, but I'm really not happy with it. You'll see shortly I move it back. I keep trying to do things on an angle, but more often than not, it just doesn't work for me. It must be the way my brain works. Perhaps if I brought some more bits in on an angle, it would have worked a bit better. So just layering these pieces up all over again. And here's where I bring that back to straight up and down. I'm much happier with that. So here's that other film strip piece that I was mentioning, and it's pink, and I've got pink at the bottom, and I want to add half at the top and half at the bottom. But when I flip it over, I see it's that gorgeous lilac that 49er Market use on the reverse of their laser cuts. So that's going to work really nicely with the other colours that I've got on this page. So I just use the reverse of that. So you can see there, again, it looks like it's extended right the way along the back of the page. So it's a great way to get more out of your die cuts. So just gluing that down. There we go. And then adding a bit of glue to the black one because that wasn't stuck to the background paper, it was just stuck to the mat of photos and things. So that's that in place, nearly. And then I'm pulling all these pieces off. Big mistake because I can never remember what I've done. So here's where that tag goes in that way round. Couldn't even remember where that frame was, whether it was on top or underneath all the bits. But I still like the way that the layout is in the end. It just amazes me that I spend so long laying everything out and then lose it when I try and put them back together. People have said to take a photo in the past, and if I'm scrapping for myself, I do that, but I use my phone to film with, so I can't really do that unless I get a second phone. Good excuse to get a second phone, I suppose. So that little green strip there says the best of everything, and I just thought that was a nice sentiment to go with this page. And then look, that ticket, I tuck it behind that black Viewmaster reel there, but when I stick it down, I stick it on top. So I think I just get lost in it and then forget what I was doing. But look, all I did was take it out to add the glue, and straight away I added it to the wrong place. So there's that sentiment going back on. that says One Fine Day. And then I find a little label, so I'm just going to tuck that on the right hand side. Just wanted to bring a little bit more colour to the right hand side of the photos. It's very heavy on the left and not a lot going on the right. So just tuck that in, but then of course I need to bring some more bits in to balance that out. So I find this little orange ticket. I think this was fussy cut from some of the packaging. Not quite sure, but I'm just going to add that there. And then I find this heart, and I actually like the reverse of the piece that the heart was popped out of, so I'm going to use that as an accent on the right hand side and move that heart elsewhere on the page. Still playing about with that flare badge. These were designed for this collection for Spectrum Gardenia, and this one says Imagine, so I do want to get that on the page too. So just moving that blue heart, and it's going to go at the bottom there, and then I shall add the flare badge next to it with a tangle of black thread underneath it, just to bring the black around the page a little bit more. So gluing these pieces down. I love how that little heart looks. It's like a heart frame, isn't it? So just gluing that heart down, and then I'll get some black thread to add underneath that flare badge. And we're almost done. I still need to add some twine to the tag and at my journaling, but it's really taking shape now. And you can see how that tag draws your eye right the way across to the left-hand side of the page. So it's almost like a reverse L that I've got going on with this design, and then those strips behind. So here's my twine. It's just some purple wax twine. It looks almost black, but it is a deep purple. And I'm just going to tie that in a bow, and then add my journaling to that tag, just using my pencil to draw some guidelines. And it just says, we finally got to the Lego store at the Rockefeller Centre and James Spent Up. And then I'm going to use my roller date stamp to add the date at the bottom. I just noticed that I'd knocked that One Fine Day piece off, so just gluing that back down. And then here's my roller date, just to add that to the very bottom of the tag. And I'd add a shadow stamp as well, just to create some interest. And then I just wanted to add another little red heart at the top here. I just felt it needed something else up there. So just popping that down there. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you've enjoyed this and it's provided some inspiration. Do ask if you have any questions. I'm always happy to chat in the box down below. Otherwise, I'll see you soon. Bye.